Again, my name is Tim Colohan. I train at Dharma Zen Center in Los Angeles, California. I guess I started Zen meditation around January of 1985. And I liked the practice right away, but I was very intermittent in the beginning. So would sit a retreat or a little bit of practicing, but I couldn't practice at home. I trained with Zen Master Seung Song, a Korean teacher who came to this country in the early 70s. And then trained with various teachers of his Jibang Sansa, a fellow named Dr. Robert Moore, here in Long Beach for many years. And an American teacher who lives in Korea, Dae Bong, guy from Philadelphia, and a couple of other teachers. So in Zen we say, open our mouth, already make a mistake. So my entire talk today is a big mistake. And that is the case. However, it's a mistake that we hope helps. And we have to say something. From a Zen view, just being quiet and getting our job done, just doing what there is to do, that's enough. But a lot of us lose our way. So a Dharma talk is sometimes helpful. Also, if I say something that brings up a question, or if you suddenly want to interrupt, just raise your hand. That's perfectly all right. Because sometimes there will be a fair amount of contradiction and a fair amount of paradox in any given Zen talk. So one point we make a lot is to not attach to speech. And Seung Song would always say, don't attach to the Zen master's speech, don't attach to something that you read, don't attach to speech that you hear. Now, non-attachment is very different than detached. So detached is a little bit, I don't care. It doesn't apply to me. I'm not interested. Something like that. Non-attachment is a kind of spaciousness around whatever it is that's being said, so that we can relate to it skillfully and figure out what's of use and what's of no use in our particular case. Zen is always rooted in taking away opposites. But language is always depending on opposites to make its point. So that's why this skill of listening in a non-attached way is very valuable. And nowadays, we live in a world that is really cranked up about opposites. And we have to help this world. There isn't another world we can help. This is the only one. So if we can become skillful in our relationship to opposites in language and the opposites we experience, that right away is helping everyone else, because we're setting an example, even without knowing it, in how we relate to opposites. The world is organized around opposites, night and day, hot and cold, but that all comes from our thinking. Before our thinking, there are no opposites. Before thinking, everyone in this room has the same mind. After thinking, our minds are all incredibly different. So meditation practice, from a Zen point of view, is rooting in this before thinking mind. And in a formal setting with robes and that kind of thing, that's cultivating or practicing. That's formal practice to settle in to this before thinking mind and live out of that. But what's important is what we take off of the cushion. When we go out into the world, we go to our jobs, we are with our families or with our friends or co-workers or political activists or whoever, and we live skillfully out of that same before thinking mind. We call this don't know. But even saying don't know covers up what it is. We also call it the absolute. We call it primary point. There's a lot of different names, and even in my particular tradition, for this point. But all of those words obscure it. So what's a little more skillful and makes the point, that's a demonstration of don't know. Some teachers also demonstrate don't know that way. Some teachers demonstrate don't know the same way. Now that's three different things, but all demonstrating the same point. So this point has no time or space in it because it's an instant. It has no name or form because that comes from thinking. And it has no cause and effect, no causality, and no effect. So those aspects, no name and form, no time and space, no cause and effect, those are impossible to imagine. Because our cognition, our ability to think, mine, yours, every human being, thinking is based on time and space, cause and effect, name and form. So our practice is about keeping a question, because this don't know is a diamond sword, can completely cut thinking, anytime. And this kind of question is always there. But most modern people are distracted or busy, doing constructive things, taking care of our family or earning a living, all wonderful things to be doing. But when we are caught up in that cognitive doing, we lose track of this great question which is always there. And maybe somebody in my job, teaching at the moment, or maybe a coworker or a friend, or sometimes a child, or sometimes a loved one, they give us a question. Where were you before your mother was born? Or maybe the young kid asks its mother, why do people die? And when they do, where do they go? What can the mother say? She wants to tell the truth, but does she know? If she's obligated to be honest with her child. So our answer to that is don't know. There are many stories which may provide comfort to the child asking that question, but they are just stories. None of us have a direct experience. We do have a direct experience of this not knowing. And if we can work up the heart, work up the courage to sit with that question, our own thinking comes down and our own intuition and Buddha nature comes forward by itself. So our suffering disappears and the suffering of others is taken away. So from a Zen view, this is the Buddha's teaching. He teaches the cause of suffering and how to stop that suffering. And the Buddha's teaching is pretty straightforward and it's pretty easy to teach. But Buddha Dharma cannot be taught. Can be experienced. We all can wake up. We all do wake up over and over. And then we become confused, distracted, not sure of ourselves. But then we can wake up again just by trying, keeping this great question. This question cuts our thinking. Then we can see clearly. Then we can hear clearly. Then we can feel clearly, also feel, taste, touch, and then think clearly. When we can trust that, keep this question. So a simple example, I'm at work, there's a problem going on, a typical problem, a repeat problem. I have an idea what the solution is. My coworkers have a different idea. If I go in with a very strong idea, if I am attached, here's my idea, and I'm very attached to it, then I don't want to listen to 2 or 3 or 4 other solutions. I only like my idea. Now we have a problem at work, and it's just gotten twice as large. First there was the problem, and now we're arguing about the solution. So this non-attachment to speech means non-attachment to my idea. So my idea is still there, but I'm not holding it so tightly. And if I'm a little bit loose, my knees are bent, my coworkers might also relax. Maybe not, but maybe they will. And maybe I see, oh, she is holding her idea very tightly. He is holding his idea very tightly. How can I help this situation? So then skillful means comes into play. But how can I help this situation? That's a question. That's coming from not knowing. And if I'm holding my idea, that makes me blind. So I don't see what else is in the room. But with a little spaciousness, oh yeah, this is my idea, but I can see everything else in the room. So there's a little chance I can be skillful. If my emotions are not controlling me, if my fear is not controlling me, and if my ignorance is not controlling me. So that's a sample of taking the practice into the workplace. Sitting on the cushion, we breathe in. What is this? Don't know. What is this? Don't know. And maybe when you're meditating, all kinds of things appear. Or maybe it's a calm meditation period. Or maybe it's a boring meditation period. But we just keep making this effort. What is this? And that's creating a habit of mind that is keeping a question. And this question can go anywhere. And I don't know about you guys, but when I look at what's going on in here, it's 99% habits. Habits of judgmentalness, habit of wanting to make something better, habit of enjoying myself, habit of distracting myself, habit of playing a game that I like to play, building something I like to build, paint something I want to paint. It's endless. I did not naturally have the habit of what is this, don't know. I did as a child. But as I became an adult, it was drilled out of me, beaten out of me. This don't know returns us to our original nature. And that is where our wisdom and our compassion comes forward. Unique to us, unique to the moment and the situation we're in. You will often hear teachers talk about karma, and it's characterized in many different ways. The simplest definition for the moment I'll give is cause and effect, causality. Thich Nhat Hanh has a very beautiful metaphor, and actually Sung Sang also uses this. He used it in talks and uses it in his book. He describes karma, one of the ways, as imagine a box of matches, and then imagine the match, and then the action of striking. Now there's a flame. The flame is a karmic event. So the box and the match are potential, but they don't, no flame. If I do this, no flame. If I do this, no flame, no problem. If I do this, flame, now have a problem. When we are practicing what is this, don't know, we put down the box. More deep question, putting down the match. No flames possible. Just appearing, disappearing, appearing, disappearing. We say this is watering the seeds of don't know. So this is a habit becoming greater, a habit of not knowing. So we water these seeds, then it grows into a plant. Then this plant has a flower. And the flower has many, many more seeds of don't know. So the flower dies, all those seeds fall down into the ground. Then we water those seeds. Now instead of one flower coming up, 500 don't know flowers grow. Then 500 don't know flowers bloom. We water those don't know seeds. They all die and those seeds fall down. Now 5,000 don't know flowers grow. So this is a practice of keeping a don't know mind which has no cause and effect. Now this doesn't take away my karma in the sense that I'm alive and I'm acting every day. But it makes this question stronger and deeper. So when a storm comes through and a relationship is ending, a child is dying, argument with a friend, losing a job, cancer diagnosis, that's a bad storm. Those are bad storms. Or parent dies, inherit $100,000. Other parent dies, inherit $4 million. Now also have a problem. Everybody fighting. Yeah? And now what? What do I do with all this money? None of my friends like me anymore. They all want my money. They don't want my friendship. So very interesting human mind. So this don't know is growing in a person's life. So then when these things change, because they do, and they will, just a matter of time, then their own insight, their own Buddha nature can come forward and help them navigate it. It doesn't come from a teacher. It comes from their own insight. So that's the broad picture. That all of these karmic habits are constantly there. You are all good people. You are all really good people. You have to trust that. You are already Buddha. And good people right now have to become better. Sorry. Because the bad people in the world, they're getting worse. They're getting worse, and they're getting more confused, and they're suffering more. So the people that are good, they have to become more skillful at being good, more effective at helping this world. That's our job as a human being. And you guys already have attained that. You already understand that. The question is how? Well, 19 people in this room, counting myself. That's 19 different ways of waking up and helping this world. That's very necessary. So I wanted to talk a little bit about mind and give you a kind of tool or a device around mind and non-attachment. And then I'll wrap it up. Sung Sang talked about a holding mind, a wanting mind, a checking mind, and a making mind. 4 minds: holding, wanting, checking, and making. So these are minds that we have that can be very useful. But if we hold them too tightly, we are trapped inside this box. The interesting thing is, if we realize I am being controlled by my holding mind, my wanting mind, my checking mind, or my making mind, if we realize it and let go, we're completely out. All 4 disappear. If we grab one, say this is my wanting mind, then all 4, the other 3 reappear. So it's a very interesting relationship. So, holding mind. There are many examples of a holding mind. Opinion, racism, loving our family can be something good, not just negative things. I'm a real family guy. I came from a big family. I liked my big family for the most part. So I like families. I like the noise, the chatter, the chaos. So I can hold that. And maybe Thanksgiving is coming up and a friend says, "Oh, will you have Thanksgiving with me?" And I'll go, "Yeah, sure. Where do you want to go?" "Oh, just my house, just me." And then the phone rings and my daughter-in-law calls me and says, "Oh, will you have Thanksgiving with us?" "Oh, yeah, what are you thinking about?" "Oh, well, there's going to be 12 or 14 people. We need somebody to bring salad." Oh, now I'm holding this, I like a family. And my friend has said, "Have Thanksgiving with me," and my daughter-in-law has said, "Oh, have Thanksgiving with us." So that's a holding mind. If I can become spacious about it, a little bit of space around this holding mind, I like family, then I'll find my way. I'll discover the skillful speech with my friend, the skillful speech with my daughter-in-law, and have a solution appear. But if I hold this too tightly, then I suffer. My family mind, I like family mind, that's what I'm holding too tight. So this holding mind, we can put anything in there. When we're teenagers and our hormones are flowing and we don't have adult minds yet, and we see the object of desire, we want that person. We want that person so much. We want that person. We can't think about anything else. That's a wanting mind. We might be holding the idea of true love, but it's a wanting mind that this person has inflamed. If we grab that wanting mind too much, I want this person so much I can't think about them. That's a like 14-year-old style mind, yeah? Then all these others appear and we are completely in jail of our own desire. If we can relax, everybody in here, there was a kid earlier, but everybody's pretty far past 14. Maybe you're the youngest, I don't know. Maybe, there's a few young people, but pretty far past 14. So we learn, oh, this desire, it appears and then it disappears. We get to know this person a little better. Oh, no problem. I don't need to hang out with you anymore. Yeah, beautiful outside, inside not so clear. Some kind of thinking like that appears. So that's wisdom, yeah? That's wisdom because we've perceived permanence and impermanence. We've perceived the impermanence of our desire for this person, and that's given us some spaciousness around our want mind. Well, as soon as we let that go, all of them are gone. So we make true love, but we don't hold on to it too tightly. And yeah, desire is necessary to build a true love relationship, but not too much. Too much desire, kill that relationship, even when all the players are agreeable. Then making. Famous old Zen expression, we make something so we have something. Most of us, we have a problem or something. Let's say we get unemployed. We get a pink slip. If we make the idea, I'm unemployed, then we suffer. Yeah, we had a job and the job has ended, or we were fired, or bought out. Some kind of reason. Some kind of reason we cause, some kind of reason not our cause. Still no job. If I make this idea, I have no job, I am unemployed, that begins to control my thinking, control my feelings, control my ability to make phone calls, to get dressed, in some cases, get out of bed. If I make this idea, I have no job, I am unemployed, and I hold that really tightly, I can't get out of bed because I'm too depressed, because I feel like a failure. So now I make no job, then everything that comes from that appears. All of the habitual thinking, loser, failure, no money, fear, how to pay the rent, etc., etc. So make that, then have problem. If we can loosen our grip, then desire, wanting, holding, and checking, these loosen and go away. Then some action is possible. Some action is possible. Oh, make a phone call. Oh, search the internet for a job. Tell everybody I know I don't have a job. In a friendly, cheerful way. Oh yeah, no job. So if you hear of anything, let me know. That kind of style speech is possible. It's not possible to be cheerful if we are making the idea of unemployment. So that's an example of making this idea. Making, wanting, holding, and the last one is checking. So a checking mind, it's a little bit like the grass is always greener. That's an example, a parochial example of a checking mind. And a checking mind we use all the time. Is the cake done? Is this avocado ripe? Is this melon ready to be eaten, or do I have to wait 2 or 3 more days? That's a checking mind. It's not a problem like that. That doesn't cause so much suffering. That's helping us stay out of suffering. Not eating a melon before it's ready to eat. But a checking mind, that's my husband. We've been married for 20 years. Maybe there's a better husband. maybe I could be a better husband. Maybe I could be better with somebody else. So that's a check. That's checking. Or maybe you come to hear a Dharma talk. Oh, this guy, what's the robes for? What's the stick for? And all that hair. Doesn't shave his head or anything. Maybe not a real Zen teacher. He's got hair. Most Zen teachers cut their hair. So that's a checking mind. So it's pretty funny. And not bad, but if we hold our checking too tightly, then we get very unsure of ourselves. And then all these other sides appear of this box: wanting, desire, and making. Sometimes we talk about a checking mind all of the time. And anybody who begins to meditate is going to discover their checking mind pretty quickly. And especially if you benefit from the meditation, and your family and friends benefit from the meditation, and then you hit a spell where you're bored to tears or you're really unhappy. And then you start thinking as you're meditating, this is really crappy, and it used to be a lot better. And why is it so crappy now? That's a checking mind. And some people will check for weeks or days, months or years. They will just check and check and check. And then if the teacher says, yeah, that's your checking mind, you should let that go. Then a few periods later, they check, and then they check their checking. Oh, now I'm checking. Now I see my checking mind. The teacher. So, non-dual wisdom is what's needed for all four of these sides of the box. If we see our checking mind, we see our wanting mind, we see our holding mind, we see our making mind, then we bring our non-dual wisdom to bear. And that is always kind. It is always gentle. And it is always honest. And sometimes true things are really painful. True things are really painful to tell ourselves, to point out to ourselves, and point out to each other. That's why kindness and gentleness is always a quality needed for creating space and bringing this question to the fore. So, be kind. I hope everybody keeps trying to be kind. I hope everybody keeps trying to rest in the stillness that you were in before I gave the talk. And I hope you wake up, because I know you can. And then at that moment you're awake, live skillfully and help this world. It really needs it. Thanks.